While I was setting the table, my dad's voice cut through the air. Low, mocking, as his phone clicked. Still, I straightened the napkins, pretending not to hear. As the laughter from my brother and Megan filled the room, I felt the sting of his betrayal grow sharper, the hum of his phone a reminder of the video he'd just posted. While the smell of turkey lingered, I realized this wasn't just a joke. It was his way of making me small. That's when I decided I'd rewrite this story, not for them, but for me. We're about to begin, but if you'd like, share where you're joining from. It reminds me this story doesn't echo into silence. It lands somewhere real. Drop it in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe. I lit the last candle at the center of the table, then stepped back and took in the whole scene. White tablecloth, the kind you only use twice a year. The silverware I polished the night before while half watching reruns of Frasier. Napkins folded into fans I'd learned from a video that autoplayed after a sad salad recipe. It wasn't perfect, but it looked hopeful, like a peace offering shaped into glassware and symmetry. I heard them laughing in the other room. Dad, my brother Luke, Megan, and Megan's sister. All of them on the couch watching football like Thanksgiving just happened to them. I wiped my hands on a dish towel and hovered near the dining room doorway. "You need help in there?" Megan called out, not getting up. "I'm okay," I said. She smiled into her phone without looking at me. "See? Domestic goddess mode." I turned back to the table, straightened one fork, breathed in. This year was going to be different. I'd told myself that 3 times on the drive over. Then I heard it. That sound. The subtle click of a phone being lifted. And a voice. My father's. Barely above a whisper. Like he was narrating a nature documentary. "Look at this. The lonely daughter. Still single. Setting the table like a maid." Laughter followed. Tight. Fast. Like a bunch of people trying not to laugh too hard. I didn't move. I just stood there, holding the last spoon, like if I stayed still long enough the moment would forget me. But it didn't. They kept talking. Someone, probably Luke, said something I didn't catch. And then more laughter. I turned back to the kitchen, suddenly aware of how quiet the floorboards were under me. I opened a cabinet just to do something. Anything. While the heat in my face started to climb into my ears. It wasn't the words. Not just the words. It was the fact that it had been so easy for them. Effortless even. They weren't even mad at me. This wasn't punishment. This was just entertainment. I poured myself a glass of water and tried not to choke on the silence swallowing the back of my throat. When I stepped into the hallway to go check on the rolls, I passed Megan, still glued to her phone. She smirked. "You're trending." I blinked. "What?" She tilted her phone toward me. TikTok. A video already racking up views. There I was, standing at the table, my back to the camera, hands arranging plates. The caption? POV, when your daughter peaks at 33. I stared at it, then scrolled. Comments, emojis, people stitching it with their own sad family stories. Others making jokes. "Why is she folding napkins like it's a final exam? Girl's got major tradwife energy but no husband. Tell her to spinster harder." I locked myself in the bathroom, ran the faucet, gripped the edge of the sink until the room stopped tipping sideways. The mascara I'd tried to wear just enough had already started to pool under one eye. I wiped it with a piece of toilet paper. I could hear someone outside the door, Megan, again, laughing. "She's gonna post some think piece now, just wait." They didn't know I could hear them, that I was still there, that I wasn't just embarrassed, I was humiliated. And suddenly, weirdly, clear. I pulled out my phone, opened the camera, stared into it for a long second before pressing record. My voice came out lower than I expected. Even. "You want a POV?" Okay, here's one. POV. You make dinner for people who mock you behind your back, record you like a zoo animal, and then laugh when it goes viral. POV. Your own father gets more likes off your humiliation than you've ever had on anything in your life. I hit stop. Saved it. Didn't post. Not yet. I walked back out. Past Megan. Past Luke. Straight to the dining room. And sat in Dad's seat. They all looked at me. Quiet now. Confused. I picked up the carving knife. Cut the turkey with a steady hand. Dad cleared his throat. You all right? I looked up, met his eyes, and said, You should take the video down. He rolled his eyes. Don't be dramatic. It's just a joke. I nodded slowly. Yeah, that's the problem. I placed the first slice on my plate, ate in silence, and let them wonder what version of me they'd just woken up. I didn't sleep that night. Not because I was stewing or spiraling. I was just aware. Every blink dragged across the inside of my skull like static. Every shadow on the ceiling looked like it might turn into another notification. By morning, my phone had already surrendered. 86 unread messages, 3 voicemails, 12 missed calls, Instagram DMs from people I didn't recognize. The first was from a student I'd taught last semester. Saw the vid? That your dad? Kinda messed up. The next one was worse. Hey, is this satire or real? Like, are you actually that sad? Then came my colleague Linda from the English department. Nora, if you want to talk or strategize, I'm around. I know what internet scrutiny can do. Strategize. That word stuck, because this wasn't just embarrassment anymore. This was turning into something bigger, looser. Like a balloon someone else was blowing up using my name, and I didn't know when it was going to pop. I made the mistake of opening TikTok. The original post had 312,000 views. Someone had made a duet. Another had added music. Light ukulele over my quiet, bent-over back, arranging plates like I was the butt of some millennial performance art piece. There were memes now. One screenshot of me holding a spoon. Thanksgiving vibes from that one cousin who peaked emotionally in 2015. Another showed the whole table, zoomed in on my face, setting the table like it's her last shot at relevance. I clicked out, threw my phone face down, and stared at the ceiling. The silence in the room felt like pity. And then I called him. My father answered on the second ring, chipper like he was about to host a cooking segment. Nora, wasn't expecting a call. You back home safe? You need to take it down. He paused, but not out of guilt, just calculation. Take what down? You know what, the video. He let out a breathy laugh, like I'd just asked him to cancel Christmas. Oh, come on, you're not really upset about that. I'm humiliated, Dad. You turned me into a joke. You filmed me without telling me, then posted it with a caption like I'm some kind of sad cliché. Relax, it's just humor, he said. It's viral. People love it. I don't care. I don't want strangers mocking me for doing something kind, for trying. It's not that deep, sweetheart. You always said I never engaged with social media. Now look, I'm a hit. I could hear Diane in the background, muffled, then closer as she picked up another line. Nora, sweetie, she said, soft and syrupy. He didn't mean anything by it. He was just being playful. You filmed me like I was a punchline, I said flatly. There was a long pause. I could hear my own breathing again, shallow and slow. Then Diane sighed. Can't you just let it go? Everyone's laughing. It's not malicious. That's not the point, I said. You're laughing at me. And now so is the internet. My students, my coworkers. My reputation's a joke because he wanted to play at being relatable online. You're being dramatic. No, I cut in. You're being cowardly. Click. I hung up before they could reply. Sat on the edge of my bed. phone clenched in my fist, blood thudding in my ears. Not panic, not sadness. Something sharper. I wasn't going to cry, I'd done that already. In the car, in the hallway, in bathrooms I'd cleaned after holiday dinners no one thanked me for. This was different. This was clean. Focused. I opened my laptop, made a new folder, labeled it Evidence. I started saving screenshots, time-stamped everything, collected every repost, every comment that used my name, every tag I'd been included in. Not to prove it had happened, because I knew they'd try to downplay it. Spin it. But you can't spin receipts. Somewhere in that process, I felt my spine come back, like I'd been walking bent for weeks, and now I could see eye level again. They'd called it humor. They'd called it harmless. But now they were going to find out what it looks like when you frame your daughter like a caricature, only to learn she's the one holding the lens. I sat in the dim light of my apartment, laptop open, volume low. The video played again and again. No sound this time. I didn't need it. I knew every frame by now. I paused at the 23-second mark, right where I set down the dessert forks, zoomed in. There it was. A sliver of reflection in the cabinet's glass door behind me, barely visible unless you knew where to look. My father. Standing with his phone raised, smirking like he'd just nailed the punchline of a joke he hadn't told out loud yet. He knew. The whole time. I leaned back slowly, pulling my knees up under the blanket. The screen glowed in the dark. I'd been playing detective for 3 hours, watching myself be reduced to viral fodder in 10-second loops. You'd think it would numb you. It didn't. My phone buzzed next to me. I let it ring twice before I even looked. Caleb. I hadn't talked to him since we split over the summer. Mutual, cordial. One of those, we're in different places conversations that feels mature until 3 weeks later, when you realize you're not in any place, just floating. I let it ring again, then picked up. Hey, I said. He didn't say hi, just, you okay? I hesitated. Not because I didn't know, but because no one had asked me that like they actually wanted the truth. I'm done being quiet, I said. There was a pause, a long one. Then softly, good. That was it. He didn't try to fix it, didn't offer comfort or cliches. Just stood back, the way someone does when they finally realize you're building something bigger than them. We hung up without a goodbye. I didn't need one. I stared at my laptop a little longer, then opened a new tab. There was a name I hadn't thought about in 3 years. Eleanor Price. We'd met at a university panel I sat on during my brief stint in academia. She was the only speaker I remembered, sharp, terrifyingly poised, and the only woman who made a room full of men shut up just by raising an eyebrow. She'd handed me a card afterward, said, "Let me know when someone finally crosses the line." I found the card in a folder buried behind old resumes and recommendation letters. I didn't text. I called. She picked up mid-stride, wind and street noise in the background. Eleanor Price. It's Nora Alston. We met at the Georgetown panel a few years back. Media ethics. You were the only one not sucking up to the moderator. She laughed, low and dry. That was a smug little panel. I remember you. You asked the only question that didn't make me want to walk out. Well, I've got another one for you now, I said. One I think's worth your time. Talk to me. My father recorded me during Thanksgiving, without my consent, uploaded it, went viral, captioned it in a way that humiliated me. I'm a teacher. Students found it. It's been reposted, clipped, memed. Brands are commenting on it like it's some quirky family moment, but it's not. It's character assassination in a cardigan. She was quiet for a beat. Do you have the footage? Yes. Full clip. And screenshots. Timestamped. My phone. His post. Metadata. I've been building a log. Good. Was it filmed in a private setting? Family dining room. Clear identification? It's my face. Was he monetizing it? Yes, through Megan's brand deals. She reposted it, tagged sponsors, kitchen appliances, used the clip to boost views. She didn't respond right away, but when she did, her voice dropped into something cooler, more precise. Defamation within a family context is tricky, she said, but not impossible, especially if there's proof of malice. Add financial gain? That changes the terrain. You're not just dealing with an inappropriate joke, you're dealing with exploitation. I leaned forward, the cold edge of the table pressing against my ribs. Good, I said. Good? I'm in the mood for tricky. Then send me everything you've got, she said. I'll walk you through next steps tomorrow. We hung up. I closed my laptop, sat in the dark for another minute, and listened to the low hum of the refrigerator. The ordinary sounds of a life no one had bothered to perform for clicks. And for the first time in days, I wasn't ashamed. I was awake. The next morning, my apartment felt smaller. Like the walls had moved in overnight, closing around the glow of my laptop. Eleanor called at 9 sharp. She didn't waste time on greetings. Ready? She asked. I think so. No, she said. You either are or you're not. Because once we start this, it's all timestamps and screenshots. Everything you've ever posted or liked will be picked apart if this goes public. You'll have to live in the details. I swallowed. Then yes, I'm ready. Her voice softened, but only slightly. Good. First rule. Save everything. Every comment, every repost, every offhand remark. I don't care how small it seems. If someone laughs at your expense online, it's evidence. Humiliation is proof. She spoke like a surgeon. Calm, efficient, deliberate. I followed every word, typing notes as fast as I could. You'll organize by platform, she said. Then by tone, mocking, supportive, neutral. Keep originals with metadata. If they delete, you'll still have the trail. It felt mechanical at first, cold, detached. But that was the point. Detachment was how you survived something like this. By the afternoon, my desktop was a constellation of digital folders. TikTok archive, screenshots batch A, work impact statements. I hadn't eaten all day, but I wasn't hungry. I was operating on something sharper. Eleanor emailed me a list of potential claims, words like misappropriation and emotional damages scattered across a spreadsheet. Legal language, but under it, I could read what she really meant. This is power, properly organized. By the time the sun dipped behind the neighboring buildings, she called again. Walk me through what we know about financial gain, she said. Megan tagged a brand on her story the night of Thanksgiving, I said, scrolling. The same video in the background. Dad's voice off camera, her laughing. The brand reposted it on their page. Product placement. Send it, she said. I forwarded the screenshot. Within seconds, she responded. He used Megan's influencer account to expand reach. That's indirect monetization. I exhaled, slow. So he made money off me. Eleanor didn't hesitate. Then it's not family. It's fraud. That word landed with a strange weight. Not cruel, not exaggerated. Just accurate. Fraud. I repeated it in my head until it felt solid enough to hold. She continued. If money changed hands, we can pursue both civil and reputational damages. You're not just reclaiming dignity, you're proving harm. Quietly. Legally. He doesn't even have to know we've started until it's too late. What happens first? I file an initial claim. Small. Contained. We start a paper trail. It's not a lawsuit, it's a flag. If he keeps posting, it becomes a pattern. Patterns are easy to prove. It was all so calm, so procedural, like grief written in bullet points. I watched the progress bar as I sent her every document she requested. The folder was over a gigabyte of data. Every frame, every cruel comment, every reminder that I'd been reduced to someone's joke. Eleanor's last message of the night was short, filed, quietly. It's a start. I stared at it until my screen dimmed. I should have felt relief. Instead, I felt a low hum beneath my ribs, like the start of an aftershock. Then my phone lit up again. Richard Alston has posted a new video. I froze. For a second, I thought it might be a coincidence. A recipe video. A dad joke. Something harmless. But the thumbnail told me otherwise. Him, sitting at the same kitchen table smirking. I hit play. So apparently, he began, laughing under his breath, setting a table is a federal offense now. Megan's voice piped up off-screen, nervous but still smiling. Richard, maybe don't... He kept going. My daughter thinks I exploited her. Can you believe that? I gave her views. Free publicity. Some people just can't take a joke. He looked directly into the camera. You know what's funny? She's probably screen recording this right now. My jaw clenched. I was. The comments were already rolling in. He's doubling down? Yikes. She deserves better. This man just confirmed everything she said. I didn't finish the video. Just closed the app, hands shaking. Not from fear, but from something clean and exact. He'd handed me proof of malice, on camera. I messaged Eleanor one line. He posted again. Mocking. On record. Her reply came 30 seconds later. Perfect. Save it. This just became easier. I stared at his face on the frozen thumbnail. His grin mid-sentence. The smug certainty of someone who'd never been held accountable. The first claim had been quiet. The next wouldn't be. I didn't tell anyone I was coming. Not Caleb. Not Eleanor. Not even myself, really. I just drove. Thanksgiving weekend, round 2. Saturday. Leftovers, football reruns, recycled jokes. I pulled up in front of the house with no plan, just a phone in my coat pocket and a calm I couldn't explain. Through the window, I saw Megan. Ring light on, phone angled toward her face while she stirred something in a Dutch oven. Of course she was streaming. Holiday content. In-laws be like. She hadn't noticed me yet. I stood there watching her switch from real to performative in half a blink. Then I knocked once and let myself in. Megan turned, startled mid-sentence. Her phone still up, still live. Oh, Nora? She said, like I was a ghost interrupting a broadcast. I didn't answer, just walked past her. Calm, clean, recording. In the kitchen, Richard was leaning against the island, wineglass in hand, laughing with my brother over something on his phone. He looked up when I entered, his face freezing for half a second before the grin kicked in. Well, look who finally joined the party, he said. Didn't think you'd come after the whole media meltdown. I stood across from him, eyes level. How's it feel going viral off your daughter's dignity? I asked. Luke looked away. Megan's phone twitched as she tried to find the angle that wouldn't show how tense the room had gotten. Richard laughed like I'd told a joke. Oh, come on. You're still on that? He said. You should be thanking me. You were invisible before this. Now people care. I was never invisible, I said. You just weren't looking. He raised his glass like a toast. Exposure, Nora. That's the game. I took a step closer. You'll get exposure. That shut him up. Megan's phone was still rolling, streaming live, thousands watching, judging in real time. And I could tell from her shifting grip that she knew. This wasn't playing how they thought it would. I pulled out my own phone, raised it to chest level, and hit record. Richard blinked. You filming now? Really? Just matching energy, I said. He rolled his eyes and turned to Megan. Tell me this isn't what it looks like. But Megan didn't say anything. For once. I turned to Luke. You're a father now. You really think it's funny? Watching your kid get mocked by a bunch of strangers for setting a table? He opened his mouth, then closed it. Didn't speak. That was enough. I turned and walked toward the door. The moment I reached it, I heard Richard behind me again, voice rising, louder this time, trying to regain control. You think this is gonna play in your favor? You storming in like a victim? You are the punchline, Nora. You just don't get it. I didn't turn around. The camera was still rolling. Hers. Mine. 1,000 eyes on every second. The truth wasn't in who was louder. It was in who stopped trying to win. I stepped out into the cold and shut the door behind me. The lock clicked like punctuation. When I got to my car, I checked Megan's live stream. It had already been clipped. The chat exploded. Wait, what did he just say? He's her dad? This feels abusive as hell. I'd sue, seriously. Protect Nora at all costs. Reddit threads were spinning up before I'd even started the engine. On Twitter, someone had posted a screenshot of my face just before I turned to leave. Caption: When the quiet one finally calls the room out loud. I didn't speak. Just sat there for a moment, keys in hand. Inside the house, the party would continue. Awkward laughs, blame shifting, maybe another video to reclaim the narrative. But out here, people had seen it for themselves. Not the edits, not the performances, just the truth. And that was louder than anything he'd posted so far. By the next morning, the clip had a name I didn't choose. Daughter destroys toxic dad, Thanksgiving livestream meltdown. It was everywhere. Clipped, stitched, subtitled, framed with pop culture audio. Reposted by feminist accounts and media lawyers. One version even had someone narrating it like a courtroom drama. My phone buzzed nonstop. Texts, tags, screenshots from people I hadn't heard from in years. I didn't answer any of them. Instead, I opened a new document. Title: Silence as Strategy. It wasn't a manifesto, just a note to myself. You don't need to explain what they just watched. By noon, 3 brands had pulled their partnerships with Megan. Someone on Twitter had flagged a kitchen appliance sponsor. Screenshots of her tags, links to her influencer page, a side-by-side of her smiling during the live stream while I stood across from her husband's father like I was on trial. Then came the comment sections. This is why family content makes me uncomfortable. You film your daughter's breakdown for clout, and now you're shocked it backfires? We've all been Nora, but we're done staying quiet. I stayed off TikTok, kept the apps open just long enough to collect and archive. A spreadsheet was growing on my desktop, color-coded with reactions, pull quotes, shifts in public tone. Richard, of course, tried to fight it. He went live the next evening, this time in his home office. No kitchen, no wine, just a bookshelf full of staged paperbacks and an American flag coffee mug in the corner of the frame. I'm being painted as some kind of villain, he said to his audience, voice lower now. By my own daughter. My own daughter. Who I cooked for. Who I love. Who I joked with. This cancel culture stuff? It's out of control. He shook his head. I mean, abusive? Really? That's what we're calling setting a table now? The comments were split. Half of them parroting him, middle-aged men typing "Stay strong, king," and the rest, louder, calling him out. You're not being canceled, Richard. You're being revealed. I didn't respond. Not publicly, not even to Eleanor, who texted twice during the live and then called. She left a voicemail. You're learning fast. Let them speak first. Liars always do. I played it back twice, then deleted it. Not because I didn't need to hear it, because I'd already internalized it. Late that night, I bought the domain, thesilentdaughter.com. I don't know why the name came to me like that. Maybe because that's what they'd called me all these years. Quiet, withdrawn, difficult. As if being quiet meant I didn't notice. The homepage was plain. A white background, one photo of the Thanksgiving table I'd set. Plates, napkins, candles. No faces. Under it, I typed a sentence. I didn't start this story, but I'm the one finishing it. I didn't name names. Didn't rant. I wasn't there to make noise. I was there to leave the record. Each post was a short entry, memory fragments. Calm, clean, with no overt anger, just facts, truths. Moments that had gotten buried under laughter and filmed from angles that made me look smaller. The time Richard told me I was too bookish to be lovable. The night I offered to help Megan with the baby and she said, "We're good. We're doing things our way." The birthday dinner where Dad asked if I'd thought about freezing my eggs yet, because time flies, sweetheart. I didn't editorialize, just documented. Within 2 days, the blog had over 30,000 unique visits. Someone from BuzzFeed emailed, then a podcast producer, then a documentary series. I didn't say yes to anything, not yet. I was busy uploading a new post. This one was about silence, and how it isn't weakness, how it's a kind of planning, a kind of clarity. I wasn't hiding anymore, I was curating. I found the envelope on my doorstep, hand-delivered, no return address, just my name in thick black serif. Inside, a cease and desist, drafted like it had been waiting in some drawer. Formal language, dense paragraphs. But I saw the real message before I finished the first page. He was scared. "Your actions constitute willful defamation," it said. "You are exploiting private family matters for personal gain, damaging the reputation of Richard A. Kavanaugh and his associated business interests." No lawyer's signature, just his, scrawled like a threat. I didn't text Eleanor. I forwarded her the scanned PDF with no subject line. She called 10 minutes later, her voice half laughing. "He really thinks this is going to scare you?" I didn't answer. "Good," she said. "We've got him. This isn't a cease and desist. It's a confession." I didn't want it to be a war, but if he'd drawn the battlefield, I wasn't stepping off it. That night, I logged into the admin panel of thesilentdaughter.com and created a new section, Receipts. No dramatics, no op-eds, just embedded screenshots and data. First, a payment report. Amazon storefront affiliate links tagged with Kavanaugh Fam Kitchen, earning over $18K in a single month. Then, ad revenue breakdowns tied to the Thanksgiving livestream, including retroactive monetization of older family dinner clips. I uploaded a thumbnail of an internal memo Megan had forwarded me a year ago. Subject line, "Nora rebrand would perform well with Gen Z." Then the texts. One from last April. "Richard, I get why influencers do this, sesquisec. Easy money when your kid has a breakdown and you catch it on camera. We're not there yet. But one day." They'd been sent during a shoot for a Father's Day promo. I remember the sound of clinking glasses while he typed. The page didn't say vindication. It said, "Here's what happened. You decide." By morning, it had over 200,000 shares. A blue-check journalist subtweeted the clip with the caption, "Turns out the villain edits his own footage." Someone posted a side-by-side of his livestream denials with the leaked texts. A lawyer stitched it with commentary. This is how defamation cases collapse in public. Eleanor forwarded me an email from a pro bono litigation group. They wanted to help. I said yes. Then Diane called. It was just past 10 a.m. and I almost didn't pick up. But I knew I needed to hear it. She didn't say hi. She just cried. "He's losing everything," she said. Her voice frayed at the edges. "The agency dropped him. His PR firm said there's nothing they can do. He's, he's just, he won't eat. He says he can't leave the house. I didn't say anything. I know you hate him, she whispered. But this isn't what you wanted, right? I let the silence stretch. She had to feel it. Diane, I said finally. He started with me. A click. She hung up. I sat there, still holding the phone. I wasn't shaking. I wasn't even angry. Just hollow. Like the part of me that used to wince when his name was spoken out loud had finally stopped bracing. Eleanor showed up that afternoon, unannounced, in jeans and a blazer with coffee and a manila folder. She didn't waste time. I've drafted the first filings, she said. Emotional distress, patterned gaslighting, exploitive monetization without consent. We're using the text history, the live stream metadata, the brand contracts you never signed. It's all actionable. I looked at her hands as she laid everything out on my table. She was calm, efficient, surgical. You okay? She asked, softly this time. I nodded. Yeah. She paused. You're allowed to feel two things at once, you know. I know. Outside, someone passed by the window, probably just a neighbor, but I caught myself flinching. I hadn't left the house in 3 days. Not because I was afraid. I just didn't know what the world would look like now that people saw the truth. Eleanor reached into her bag and pulled out one more thing, a printout from a social analytics dashboard. This isn't going away, she said. You're not a moment anymore. You're a movement. I scanned the page. Mentions, traffic spikes, a heat map of reposts across platforms. But my eyes stopped on one line at the top. A trending tag. Silent no more. I hadn't created it, but I felt it settle on me like armor. Eleanor tapped the folder once. We serve him Friday. Then she looked up at me. Unless you're not ready. I didn't answer. I walked to the kitchen, poured a glass of water, and looked out at the bare trees in the backyard. The silence wasn't heavy anymore. I turned back. Let's finish it. I thought the hard part would be proving the truth. It wasn't. The hard part came 3 days later, on a Tuesday afternoon, with the light cutting in through the blinds at the exact angle it used to when I'd come home from middle school. Backpack slumped, skin too tight from trying to stay invisible all day. I was folding laundry, mundane, grounding, when I saw the email. Account notice. Your content has been flagged for policy violations. Not mine. His. I clicked the alert. A community moderator post had confirmed it. Richard's video account, 14 years of footage, hundreds of monetized uploads, had been suspended. I didn't feel triumph. I felt like I'd just knocked on a door that I knew would open, and now I wasn't sure I wanted to see what was behind it. The knock on my own door came 20 minutes later. Caleb. He didn't text first. He just showed up. Like he used to. Like he knew something had cracked and I wouldn't want to name it. I opened the door and he held up a small paper bag. Panera, he said. No agenda. I let him in. We sat on the floor. We didn't talk at first. Just peeled plastic lids from soup containers like it was winter break again, and the only thing broken was the school Wi-Fi. He handed me the bread roll. You look tired, he said. I am. Silence again. Then I said it. I don't think I'm a good person. His head tilted slow. What? I didn't look at him. Maybe I was cruel. I mean, who keeps a spreadsheet of their father's downfall and color codes it? Someone who learned to track the damage because no one else did. My throat caught. I wasn't trying to ruin him, I said. He ruined so many moments. I wanted one where I got to say how it felt. Caleb didn't flinch. You didn't ruin him. He built the house out of glass. You just opened the blinds. I didn't know I was crying until I tasted salt. Quiet tears. The kind you don't fight because you're too tired to hold your face in place. I keep remembering this one morning, I whispered. I was 14. He was making pancakes for the channel. And I reached for the syrup and he said, maybe skip that. Unless you want your arms looking like tree trunks on camera. Caleb exhaled, a quiet, broken sound. I wiped my cheek with my sleeve. He used to say I was too serious, too sensitive, that I couldn't take a joke. Then when I stopped laughing, he told me I was cold. He's always done this, I said. I didn't even realize I'd whispered it. Caleb set his soup down and turned to me, gently. Then this isn't revenge, Nora. It's correction. You're not dragging him down. You're just finally stepping out from underneath. I met his eyes. He wasn't comforting me to make it go away. He was holding the space for it to stay. I took a long breath. I felt it move all the way through. Then I stood up, walked to my desk, and opened the litigation folder Eleanor had left behind. I reviewed the draft filings line by line. My hands didn't shake this time. I wasn't floating above the moment, watching myself be brave. I was just here, and I wasn't sorry. Not anymore. By nightfall, my blog had a new update. It was short. Just a screenshot of the suspension notice, overlaid with a single sentence in serif font. When the mask breaks, the echo gets quiet. I didn't tag anyone. I didn't explain. Let them find it. Let it find them. But before I could close the browser, I saw it. A direct message request. Sitting unopened. From Megan. I stared at it. Her name, glowing there like a fuse. Megan's message had just 4 words. Can we talk? Alone. I didn't answer that night. Not because I didn't want to, but because I needed to know what the conversation would cost. By morning, Eleanor had already flagged something bigger. She called just after 8 a.m., her voice clipped. Focused. I need you to open the Google Drive, she said. Folder 3. Look for a file called Ad Spend Q4. I pulled it up. Rows of numbers, vendor codes, billing tags. It didn't mean much to me until she walked me through it. Those campaign IDs? She said. They're tied to paid media placements. YouTube, Instagram, Facebook. Every one of them pushed traffic toward clips from the Thanksgiving stream. Some boosted within 48 hours of the viral spike. I blinked. Okay, so? Eleanor inhaled. Nora, they were paid for through Richards LLC, his kitchen brand. That's not just a personal reaction anymore. That's corporate funding to capitalize on footage where you were the product, without your consent. I sat back. That shifted everything. He used business funds to promote the meltdown? I said. She didn't hesitate. That's misuse of corporate assets for personal crisis management. If we can tie it to a pattern, we're talking about wire fraud. Possibly mail fraud depending on invoices. This moves it up. Federal level. A beat of silence, then. Do you want me to file? I looked out the window. The sky was thin and overcast, like it couldn't commit to anything. I thought about the camera lens he'd pointed at me every holiday, about the apron that said Kavanaugh Family Values hanging in the background while he joked about my weight. About the moments that went viral because pain always plays well with a laugh track. File it, I said. Later that day, I met Megan. We sat in the corner of a bakery that used to be a bank, the kind of place where people pretend to read novels while answering Slack messages. She wore sunglasses indoors, a trench coat, like this was some kind of spy movie. She didn't hug me. I didn't offer one. She went first. I didn't know he was using the company card, she said. I swear. I thought it was just damage control. I stirred my coffee, watching the cream swirl like it had somewhere else to be. Megan, I said. You were tagged on those ads. Your face was on the promos. I was told it was a retargeting campaign. I didn't even approve the copy. You let him pay to amplify my breakdown. Her hands were trembling. It wasn't supposed to go this far. We were just trying to manage optics, I said. Control the narrative. Build the brand. She didn't answer. You helped him, I said. Her mouth opened, then closed, like she was swallowing something acidic. I pushed my phone across the table. The screen showed the analytics dashboard Eleanor had compiled. Boosted impressions, media buys, ROI estimates. It was irrefutable. I leaned in. He knew exactly what he was doing, and you did too. Megan looked away, and for a moment I saw it. The veneer crack, the tight posture falter, the daughter trying to stay loyal to the man who always cast himself as the center of the story. Then she whispered, "He told me it would fade, that people would forget by New Year's." "They won't," I said. "Not this time." She blinked fast, like she was trying to hold something back. Then she pulled out her phone. No words, just scrolling. She turned the screen toward me. A chat thread. Messages from Richard. Richard. Boost the stream. Focus on her face. Makes it more emotional. The angry daughter stuff? It kills with engagement. If she walks, fine. The channel survives. She doesn't. I stared at the texts. I couldn't move. Megan finally spoke, her voice smaller than I'd ever heard it. I saved everything. I didn't know why at the time. I just couldn't delete it. "Can I have them?" I asked. She nodded. "I'll send it all." Outside, a siren wailed and faded down the block. I couldn't tell if it was coming or going. When I stood up to leave, Megan didn't try to stop me. She just sat there, shoulders folded in, like someone who finally realized what she'd been part of. That night, Eleanor added the texts to the case file. She didn't need to say what they were. They spoke for themselves. And somewhere, across town, Richard had no idea that his own daughter, the good one, had just lit the match. I didn't hear about the collapse from a headline. I heard it from Eleanor's voice, flat through the phone as she scrolled through a docket that had just gone public. "They've frozen the accounts," she said. "The business license is under review. 2 sponsors have filed breach of contract notices." She paused. "And CNN just picked it up." I was standing in my kitchen, fingers still damp from rinsing a plate I hadn't eaten off. Outside, the trees were bare and still, like the whole street was waiting for the air to break. "What's the headline?" I asked. A pause. Then she read it. "Father faces lawsuit for viral defamation scheme. Influencer empire under federal investigation." I felt something shift in my chest. Not joy, not closure, just weight. Like my body finally understood it could stop bracing. The empire had fallen. By the next morning, every platform that had once partnered with Kavanaugh Family Kitchen had released statements. The YouTube channel was dark. The merch site redirected to a 404 page. The suburban myth of the perfect American dad, wholesome, wise, a little sarcastic, was finally, publicly unraveling. But the real moment came when Diane called again. This time, she didn't cry. She didn't yell either, just said, "We're listing the lake house. Legal fees are bleeding us." I didn't say anything. She sighed into the phone. "He wanted me to ask if you'd consider a settlement." Quiet. No press. I almost laughed. Instead, I said, "He deserves public accountability." "He's your father, Nora." "No, he's a man who used my worst moments for profit, and he didn't stop until it cost him something." There was a long pause, like she didn't expect me to hold the line this time. Then she said, "You've made your point." But she was wrong. This wasn't about a point. This was about a wound that had festered too long under camera lights and captioned apologies. I wasn't cutting deeper. I was just cleaning it out. That night, Caleb came by. Again. No Panera this time. just a look on his face like he wasn't sure if I'd let him in. I did. He sat on the couch, hands clasped like he was trying to keep them from shaking. I saw the press conference, he said. I nodded. They're saying it could set precedent. First case of its kind. Maybe. He looked at me hard. You're playing with fire now. I met his eyes. He filmed mine burning. He didn't argue. He just exhaled. You don't have to become what he was to beat him. I'm not trying to beat him, I said. I'm trying to show the next girl watching her father go viral at her expense that she's not crazy. Caleb didn't reply, but something softened in his jaw, like he understood even if he hated how much I meant it. Then came the court date. The courtroom wasn't like on TV. No dramatic music, no gasp from the gallery. Just dry carpet, murmurs, and the click of a stenographer's keys. Eleanor sat beside me in navy, calm and composed. Across the aisle, Richard looked smaller than I remembered. His blazer too sharp, his smile too forced. Diane sat behind him, rigid. I took the stand. The bailiff swore me in, and I did what I had promised myself I would. I didn't tremble. I didn't tear up. I didn't tell them what kind of father he was. I told them what he did. I described the contracts I never signed, the camera setups, the monetization dashboards with my face as the thumbnail. I read aloud the text. If she walks, fine. The channel survives. She doesn't. The courtroom didn't gasp. But Richard flinched. And that was enough. When it was over, I stepped down and looked at him. Really looked. Not as my father. As a man who'd built a life on the backs of people too stunned to speak for themselves. He didn't meet my gaze. That was his testimony. Outside, reporters waited. Eleanor blocked most of them, but I knew eventually I'd have to say something. The movement was no longer just mine. I was its name now. Its spine. I hadn't decided what I'd say, but as we reached the sidewalk, Eleanor's phone buzzed. She glanced down. Don't react, she said. I didn't. She turned the screen toward me. It was a notification. Megan Kavanaugh has uploaded 47 new files to shared drive. For court. The knock came just after noon. I knew it was Diane before I even looked. Her knock had a rhythm. Impatient but careful. Like she didn't want the guilt to echo too loud. I didn't invite her in right away. She stood on my porch with a canvas tote slung over one shoulder and her coat still open, despite the wind. Like she wanted this to look casual, unscripted. It wasn't. When I opened the door wider, she stepped in like she already knew the route. But I watched her take in the house. Its stillness. Its honesty. No ring lights. No soft boxes. Just a bookshelf. A couch. A real life. She sat without being asked. Across from me, but not too close. I'm not here to fight, she said. Her voice was thinner than I remembered. I needed to look you in the eye. I waited. She looked down at her hands, folded like she was still holding a prayer she didn't quite believe in. He's not eating, she said softly. He barely sleeps. Every day there's another article, another post, and now with Megan. I didn't flinch, but I felt my spine straighten. She did the right thing, I said. I know, Diane said quickly. I'm not here to undo any of that. Then she looked up at me, and there it was, the crack beneath the resolve. But he's still your father. It wasn't a plea. It was an accusation disguised as love. I stood, slowly, not angry, just steady. No, I said. He stopped being that when he turned me into content, when he edited out my boundaries and captioned my discomfort, when he filmed my silence and called it a personality. Diane's lip trembled. It wasn't all bad. I nodded. No. But the good parts don't cancel the harm. They just confuse it. She looked away. I know he hurt you, she said, quieter now. But isn't there some version of this that doesn't destroy all of us? I didn't have the heart to tell her. This version already was the least destructive. I don't want your house, Diane. I don't want your money. I want a record. One that wasn't edited to make him look generous and me look ungrateful. She stood now, too, slowly, like her body was heavier than when she arrived. She looked like she wanted to say something else, but instead, she just nodded. Not agreement. Resignation. The kind that comes when someone finally sees you're not bluffing. I hope one day you'll want peace, she said. I already have it, I replied. She left without closing the door hard. That was the closest we'd come to understanding each other. That night, I saw Megan. Not in person. Online. A quiet, anonymous blog had started gaining traction. Short posts, written in lowercase. No photos, no bios. Just reflections. About accountability. About shame. About how complicity wears a smile until it cracks. I recognized her language. I emailed Eleanor. She's writing her way out of it, I typed. Eleanor replied an hour later. Better than hiding. Let her. 2 days passed. Then Caleb came over again. He didn't bring food. Just himself. And a quiet kind of worry. Diane stopped by my place, he said, sitting on my porch this time. Said she didn't think you were beyond repair. She's wrong, I said. I'm finally not. He leaned forward, elbows on knees. You could forgive them someday. I could, I said. But not like this. He looked up. Forgiveness is earned, I said. Not filmed. He didn't argue. We sat in silence for a while. The wind stirred the leaves that had gathered in the corners of the porch. The sky was pale and open. The air smelled like wood and cold metal. Then he reached into his jacket and pulled out an envelope. They're setting the date. I didn't need to ask what he meant. The final hearing. Richard's attorneys had filed their last delay motion. Denied. Everything was headed for open court, testimony, evidence, discovery, unsealed. It wouldn't be a live stream. It would be public record. I stared down at the envelope in my hands. No camera would cut away this time. No edits, no retakes. Just truth. And this time, it would stay online. The courthouse was fuller than I expected. By the time we entered the chamber, most of the gallery seats were taken. Reporters, advocacy reps, a few unfamiliar faces who probably only knew me as the girl from the clip. A quiet buzz filled the air, not loud enough to be chaos, but constant, like everyone knew something cultural was about to shift, and they didn't want to miss the moment it cracked. Eleanor walked beside me, crisp and unreadable in a gray suit. She carried her files like weapons. Richard was already seated at the defense table. His blazer was navy this time, not black. Softened, like he thought it made him look warmer. He turned as I approached. I didn't flinch. I didn't nod. He gave me that same half smile he used to wear before turning on the camera. The one that said, "Play nice for the audience." I took my seat. Didn't look at him again. The judge entered. A middle-aged woman with a sharp gaze and no patience for theater. She didn't need to say she'd done her homework. You could see it in the way she glanced between the parties, like she already knew the shape of the mess. Just needed to hear it confirmed out loud. Opening arguments came and went. Richard's lawyer spoke in vague terms. Family dynamics, context, misunderstandings amplified by the digital age. And then Richard took the stand. He cleared his throat twice before speaking. Tried to look contrite but casual. It was family humor, he said, chuckling softly. That's all. You know how dads are. We tease. We tell jokes. Nora always had a dry sense of humor, but she was part of it. The audience loved her because she didn't try to be perfect. He shrugged. Sometimes the internet makes monsters out of dads just trying to make memories. I watched the jury. Half of them looked down at their notes. One woman shook her head slightly, but Eleanor stayed still, calm. Then it was her turn. "Your Honor," she said, standing slowly, "we'd like to enter into evidence Plaintiff's Exhibit 23, a synchronized playback of footage from the Kavanaugh Family Kitchen Thanksgiving livestream, with original, uncut audio and metadata." The judge nodded. "Proceed." The bailiff dimmed the courtroom lights, and then it played. The screen lit up with a now infamous frame. Me standing by the oven, hands clenched in a towel. Richard pouring wine. Megan smiling wide as she zoomed in. The comments scrolling beneath in real time. At first, it sounded like what he described. Banter. Laughter. But then came the captions. "She always looks like she's about to cry, LOL. Nora the buzzkill. Why is she even there?" And then Richard's voice. "Don't be such a little martyr, sweetheart, it's just a joke." Then Megan's, off camera. "Come on, give us a smile, it's Thanksgiving." I hadn't remembered the ad breaks until they played. Carefully inserted just after moments of visible discomfort. Quick transitions to sponsored content. One of them literally featured my face frozen mid-frown beneath the caption, "Family moments you'll never forget." And then, Eleanor's masterstroke, the financial overlays, timestamps showing when the stream was boosted, when revenue spiked, when ad partners were tagged. All of it aligned, the laughter, the silence, the monetization. When the lights came back up, the courtroom was still. One reporter dropped a pen. Someone whispered, "Oh my God." The judge looked at Richard like he'd just spat in her coffee. And then, after closing statements that barely registered, the jury returned in under 3 hours. The foreperson stood. "We, the jury, find in favor of the plaintiff, Ms. Nora Whitman, on all counts." Richard blinked hard. The judge cleared her throat. "Further, as part of this ruling, the court orders monetary damages totaling $2.5 million and a public apology to be issued by Mr. Kavanaugh within 72 hours. Said apology must be posted across all social platforms where monetized content featured the plaintiff." Eleanor's hand brushed mine beneath the table. I didn't squeeze it back. I was staring at him. Not with rage. Not even resentment. Just release. The look you give someone when you finally realize they can't hurt you anymore because you've already climbed out of the version of yourself they tried to trap you in. He wouldn't meet my eyes. Not anymore. The judge banged the gavel. Court adjourned. Outside, flashbulbs popped. But I didn't walk down the courthouse steps like a woman who had won. I walked like someone who had ended something. And as I reached the car, Eleanor caught up beside me. "They're asking if you'll comment." I didn't stop walking. "Not yet," I said. Then I slid into the back seat and closed the door behind me. I wasn't done. Not until the apology went live. I didn't touch the money for a week. The settlement sat in escrow while headlines kept looping the same phrases. Landmark case, digital consent, viral trauma. A law student made a TikTok explaining the ruling with pop music edits. My face, frozen mid-testimony, was clipped, captioned, celebrated. It felt surreal, but not unfamiliar. I'd gone viral before. The difference was this time I'd chosen the lighting. On the 8th day, I opened a new browser tab and bought another domain, thehealinglens.org. The name came to me fast, like it had been waiting. The logo was simple, a camera lens split down the center, half shattered, half in focus. Eleanor called it perfect. I didn't ask for her permission, just her help registering it as a nonprofit. The mission was clear: provide legal, emotional, and digital support to people whose worst moments had been filmed, posted, memed. We'd start small, a resource hub, a trauma-informed media guide, a directory of pro bono attorneys, but it needed a first video. A face, a voice, mine. We filmed it at Caleb's studio. He offered without asking, then quietly adjusted the lighting until it softened the edges of my face but left the shadows where they belonged. No scripts, I said. Just you, he nodded. Take your time. I sat in front of a plain backdrop. No ring light, no filter, and I told the story, calmly, cleanly. I spoke of growing up in a house where jokes came with disclaimers, smile or they'll say you're bitter. I talked about the quiet ways control can wear a holiday sweater. I described the clip that broke the internet, and how the worst part wasn't going viral. It was realizing how many people saw the truth in it and said nothing. I didn't name Richard. I didn't have to. The edit was under 5 minutes. Caleb sent the final cut the next day. We uploaded it at 6 p.m. on a Thursday. By 10, it had 2 million views. This time, the comment section didn't ask me to smile. It thanked me for speaking. It told its own stories. It called out teachers who filmed meltdowns, parents who live-streamed punishments, influencers who used their children's tears for brand deals. It tagged resources. It stitched reflections. It didn't just react. It built. I didn't cry. I felt something settle in me that hadn't known rest before. And then, like it always happens, my phone buzzed with a name I hadn't seen in days. Megan. I let it ring 3 times. Then I answered. I watched it, she said. Her voice sounded soft, unsure, human. And I'm proud of you. I waited. That's not what you called to say, I replied. A pause. She exhaled. I wanted you to know I see it now. The way he edited you. The way I did. Too. You could have stopped him. Another pause. I know. Then. But you did. There was no defense in her voice. No performance. Just a quiet surrender. I didn't forgive her. Not in that moment. But I believed her. When the call ended, I stared at the lock screen. The video had passed 6 million views. Healing Lens was trending globally. Influencers posted black and white selfies captioned, "I am not your content." Celebrities retweeted it with one-liners about digital dignity. And Richard? Nothing. No post, no statement, no apology. His accounts were still up, but untouched. The silence was louder than anything he could have said, and I knew why. He had spent years controlling the narrative. Now he couldn't even find the frame. I opened the blog and typed a new entry. Not angry, not triumphant, just truth. You filmed me becoming someone I wasn't. I filmed myself becoming someone I am. I hit publish. Then I shut the laptop and looked at my reflection in the window. Clear, unfiltered. The internet had turned the spotlight on me without asking. This time, I was the one who lit the scene. Richard didn't disappear overnight. He eroded. First, the old sponsors pulled archived posts. Even brands that hadn't worked with him in years issued quiet statements of updated values and content reevaluation. The cookbook publisher pulled his titles from digital shelves. A chef on a morning show joked, "Let's not go full Kavanaugh," and the clip trended by noon. By the time a podcast ran an episode titled, "When Fathers Fail Online," his name had become shorthand. A caution, a case study, and then it was quiet. The kind of quiet that doesn't ask for your attention because it assumes you've already moved on. I hadn't. Not quite. Eleanor called one morning to tell me the LLC had dissolved. No contest, she said. He didn't even try to restructure. A pause. Then. You should know. Diane filed. Divorce. Quietly. I didn't ask for details. Some endings don't need elaboration. A week later, I drove back to the house. The one I grew up in. It was listed. Empty. A staging company had tried to neutralize it. Gray throws on beige couches, fake lemons in a bowl on the island. But the bones were the same. I let myself in through the front door. No one was there. Just a key under the mat and a lockbox code Eleanor had pulled through the realtor. I didn't wander. I knew exactly where I needed to stand. The kitchen. Right between the stove and the sink. The same square of tile where the clip had begun. I closed my eyes. I could hear the ghost of it. The performative laughter, the clink of wine glasses, the gentle chime of the oven timer meant to sound like nostalgia. A version of me had lived here, but not all of me. I opened my eyes and looked around the room. It wasn't haunted. It was just over. That night, I told Caleb I wanted to delete the video. We were sitting in his car outside a late-night diner, coffee cooling between us, fog starting to press at the windows. "You sure?" he asked. I nodded. He studied me for a long moment. "You won, you know." "No," I said. I ended it. His jaw tightened just a little, then relaxed. "Yeah," he said. "That's heavier, but better." I went home and sat at my desk. Logged into the platform where the Healing Lens video had lived. 7 million views now, thousands of comments. I didn't reread them. I didn't need to. I hovered over the delete button, felt the way my fingers didn't tremble. Then I clicked. The screen flashed once, then refreshed. Gone. Not because I regretted it, but because I didn't need to see it anymore to know it happened. Sometimes healing isn't about proof. It's about permission to move on. Later, I updated the homepage of the Healing Lens site. The video section was blank now. Just a short note. Stories matter most when we decide how they end. I didn't share it. I didn't tag anyone. The ones who needed it would find it. I got a text from Megan the next day. "Megan, did you take it down?" Me. "Yes." A few minutes later. Megan. "I'm glad. It was powerful. But now it's yours again." I didn't reply. Not yet. The next morning, a letter arrived. No return address. No handwriting I recognized. Inside, a single sheet. Typed. No signature. I thought I was building a legacy. Turns out I was just pressing record on my own decline. I folded it once. Didn't cry. Didn't frame it. Just slid it into the back of a drawer and shut it. Not forgiveness. Not even an ending. Just a chapter closing with no need for applause. But when I looked out the window, the light hit the glass just right. And for the first time, it didn't feel like a spotlight. It felt like morning. It was strange how fast a year could pass. Stranger still, how quietly it could return. The air had that same late November bite, the kind that smelled like cinnamon and cold wood and some memory you can't quite place. But this time, I wasn't dreading it. This time, Thanksgiving didn't feel like a performance. It felt like mine. The house was loud in the way only true comfort allows. Friends drifted in and out of the kitchen with mismatched dishes and stories from years before I met them. Someone played Joni Mitchell on a Bluetooth speaker. Someone else burned the sweet potatoes and no one yelled. I stood at the counter tying twine around a roasted chicken. No turkey this year. I wasn't interested in recreating anything. Eleanor brought wine. Megan surprisingly sent pie. No note. Just a bakery receipt and her name on the shipping label. I didn't mind. Forgiveness hadn't arrived, but neutrality had. And that was enough. In the dining room, the table was already set. Same long runner. Same cloth napkins I'd saved from last year. The ones I thought I'd never want to see again. But they didn't feel haunted anymore. They felt reclaimed. I lit the candles. Not for atmosphere, but ritual. A kind of marking. A kind of quiet proof. I had lived through something I wouldn't let define me. Then Caleb stepped in behind me. He wore a camera around his neck. Not his phone. His real one. The one he used for short films and sunrise stills and weddings for people who hated weddings. Don't even think about it, I warned, smiling. He grinned. Just a few shots. The light's insane right now. I raised an eyebrow. Ask first. He did. Camera lowered. Eyes sincere. Can I film you? I paused. Then nodded. And just like that, a boundary that once had to be fought for was now a mutual agreement. Not a right. A request. He hit record. And I didn't freeze. I didn't shrink. I laughed. Loud and open and a little messy, as someone in the other room dropped a plate and yelled, "We're fine!" Everyone laughed. Caleb caught the moment. But this time, I wasn't the story. I was part of the scene. He panned gently, and the camera passed across my face. No tension in my shoulders, no tight jaw. Just me, arranging rosemary sprigs around the edges of a serving tray, smiling without permission or performance. He caught it, and I let him. Later, as we all squeezed around the table, elbows bumping, laughter overlapping, I stood to pour the wine. Caleb had shut the camera off long before. There would be no live stream, no family kitchen special. Just memory, unmonetized. I raised my glass. Everyone quieted instinctively. I didn't rehearse it. I didn't need to. To finally setting my own table, I said. The clinks were soft but sure. We ate. We laughed. We shared. No one asked me about the trial. No one said the word viral. They just passed the potatoes and told bad stories about worse dates and asked for seconds. It felt like an ending, but not the kind that closes a door, the kind that opens a window. After the dishes were stacked and the last slices of pie cut, I stepped outside for a moment. Alone. The night was cold, crisp, quiet. I could still see my breath. Inside, someone turned up the music again, Fleetwood Mac this time, and I smiled. Last year, that same night, I'd stood in a kitchen like a witness at my own undoing. This year, I was just home. And for the first time in a long time, the punchline was mine. Last Thanksgiving, I was their joke. This one, I'm the punchline they can't afford.